Is it time to start reflecting on the unsung contributors who have cycled through this Chicago Bears roster recently? Former Bears wide receiver and punt returner Trent Taylor has officially announced his retirement from the NFL. It is always a strange feeling to see a reliable special teams veteran hang up his cleats for good after years of grinding through the league. This update hits a little differently because it reminds us how much turnover this organization has endured while searching for stability. And honestly, the more details come out, the harder it is to ignore what is going on behind the scenes. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your name and city in the comments below. Let us get into it. Former Chicago Bears wide receiver and punt returner Trent Taylor has officially announced his retirement from the NFL. After a career that spanned several teams in various roles, Taylor took to social media to confirm he is hanging up his cleats for good. For those of us following the team, Taylor arrived in Chicago during the 2023 season after being cut by the Cincinnati Bengals. While he did not record a catch on his 2 targets as a receiver, he served as our primary punt returner, fielding 23 returns with an average of 8.2 yards per attempt. He ranked 24th in total return yardage that year, highlighted by a strong performance against the Detroit Lions where he tallied 56 yards on 4 returns. His journey began as a 5th-round pick of the San Francisco 49ers in 2017, where he enjoyed his most productive seasons, hauling in 69 catches for 645 yards across 2 years. After his stint with the Bears and a brief return to the 49ers, an injury kept him sidelined throughout the 2025 season, ultimately leading to this final decision. And the more I look at this, the news brings a sense of quiet closure for fans who watched him navigate the tough transition periods of our roster. It is a somber moment to see a player step away, yet it reminds us of the fleeting nature of professional careers. We appreciate the veteran presence he provided on special teams during his tenure in Chicago. However, this retirement leaves us wondering how the coaching staff intends to fill that specific void on special teams during the upcoming offseason programs. With his departure now confirmed, the real question is how the front office plans to adjust the depth chart to address our return game reliability moving forward. Trent Taylor's decision to retire after failing to see the field at all in 2025 due to injury marks the quiet conclusion of a journeyman career that spanned 9 seasons. His path to this retirement was paved by the harsh reality of physical attrition, as his body simply could not recover from the demands of professional football following his final 2-game stint with the 49ers in 2024. During his single year with us in 2023, Taylor proved his value as a reliable specialist rather than a primary receiving threat. He handled all 23 of our punt returns that season, averaging 8.2 yards per attempt and recording 188 total return yards. His standout performance came in our 28-13 victory over the Detroit Lions in Week 14, where he provided a spark with 56 yards on 4 returns. Here's where it gets interesting as we consider the perspective of head coach Ben Johnson and our front office. They likely viewed Taylor as a low-risk veteran insurance policy whose utility was confined strictly to special teams depth. While he never tallied a catch on his 2 targets as a Bear, his presence provided stability during a transition period for our roster construction. Looking back at his full career, which includes 88 catches for 845 yards and 3 scores, we can appreciate the role he played in the trenches of the league. For a veteran player, hanging up the cleats is rarely a simple choice, but given his age of 32 and the missed time in 2025, it is a logical end to a long road. We recognize the professionalism he brought to our locker room throughout his time in Chicago, and we wish him the absolute best as he transitions into the next chapter of his life away from the game. While the retirement of a veteran like Trent Taylor might seem like a minor footnote during the offseason, it serves as a meaningful reminder of how quickly the landscape shifts for our Chicago Bears. The truth is, losing a reliable hand on special teams requires our coaching staff to reevaluate their depth chart and identify a new primary returner who can handle the pressure of the field with the same consistency Taylor provided during his time in the Windy City. Because he handled 23 punts for us throughout that 2023 season, there is now an immediate vacancy in the return game that needs filling before training camp begins in earnest. This change impacts our special team strategy as we prepare for crucial divisional matchups against the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. Securing the ball on punt returns is often the difference between a stalled drive and a game-changing offensive start, so finding someone who can replicate his 8.2 yards per attempt average is a top priority for our front office. Our standing in a very competitive division depends on these small, disciplined margins. As we look at the upcoming schedule, we need players who can minimize mistakes and keep the offense in a favorable position to score. While Taylor's 2023 stats, including that impressive 56-yard performance against the Detroit Lions, are now part of our history, they highlight the high level of execution required to stay in the hunt for a playoff berth. With Ben Johnson leading the charge, we expect the team to bring in fresh competition to lock down this role permanently. We will miss the veteran savvy he brought to the locker room, but this is the nature of the professional game, where the opportunity for younger talent to step up is always right around the corner for this organization. The retirement of Trent Taylor marks the end of an era for a player who truly understood the gritty, specialized role of a veteran punt returner in the National Football League. For us as Chicago Bears fans, the primary upside of this news is the necessary transition toward younger, more explosive talent on special teams. By clearing out roster spots once held by older specialists, the front office now has the flexibility to develop dynamic returners who can flip the field position in a modern game where every single yard counts toward victory. Here's the thing nobody wants to say, however, which is that losing a player with Taylor's specific experience presents a tangible downside. Consistency is difficult to replace, and his ability to field 23 punts for us in 2023 without major errors provided a reliable floor that young prospects often fail to maintain during their growing pains. NFL analysts are already debating how teams like the Cincinnati Bengals or the San Francisco 49ers might shift their own special teams depth charts following this announcement, with many experts suggesting names like recent draft prospects or fringe roster players will now be fighting for these vacated roles. To be honest, I think some of the media chatter regarding how much of a void this leaves is vastly overblown. While his Week 14 performance against the Detroit Lions was a highlight, his lack of production on offense and his quiet 2025 season suggest his impact was already naturally fading. Here is where I land on this. While we appreciate the veteran professionalism he brought to our locker room for that single year, it is the right moment to move on and let a younger athlete take that spot to elevate our overall team speed. It is time to look forward to the future. Trent Taylor has officially announced his retirement from the NFL, marking the end of a long career for a player who contributed in various ways for several organizations, including our Chicago Bears. Having served as our primary punt returner throughout the 2023 season, Taylor was a reliable presence who fielded 23 punts for 188 total yards. While his departure does not signal a seismic shift for the franchise, it reinforces the ongoing focus under head coach Ben Johnson to identify specialists who can provide consistent, steady value on special teams. As we look toward the future, the team will need to fill that void with someone capable of securing the ball with the same dependability Taylor demonstrated during his time in Chicago. And I'll be straight with you, you should feel a sense of appreciation for his professionalism rather than concern about his exit. He arrived in Chicago after stints with the San Francisco 49ers and Cincinnati Bengals, bringing veteran stability to our return unit, particularly during that Week 14 victory over the Detroit Lions, where he tallied 56 yards on 4 returns. It is always bittersweet to see a hardworking veteran hang up his cleats, especially one who filled a thankless role with such dedication throughout his time in the league. As our roster continues to evolve under the current leadership, we can look back at his contribution as a solid bridge for our special teams. Given the specialized nature of his work, do you believe the Bears should prioritize drafting a dedicated return specialist this year? Or would you prefer they rely on an existing wide receiver to handle those duties? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Bear down. I'll see you in the next one.